Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session, we'll be discussing from two verses, the 29th and the 30th verses of the 18th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The 29th verse, Abhuta Purvaha Sahasa Kshutrudbhyam Arditatmanaha Brahmanam Prati Abhut Brahman Matsaro Manyur Evacha. The meaning of this 29th verse, O Brahmanas, this is Suta Goswami addressing the sages of Naimisharanya while describing the incidents leading to Parikshit Maharaj becoming angry at the Shamika Rishi. So the king's anger and envy directed toward the Brahmana sage were unprecedented, being that circumstances had made him hungry and thirsty. Unprecedented means such a thing has never happened in the past. A devotee king approaching a Brahmana sage who is absorbed in meditation, expecting that I will get some reception, I'll get some water, I'll get some relief from my thirst. When he was extremely thirsty and hungry, not getting anything, he became frustrated, he became angry. So this is unprecedented. The purport Srila Prabhupada says, for a king like Maharaj Parikshit to become angry and envious, especially at a sage and Brahmana, was undoubtedly unprecedented. Never has such a thing happened in the past. It is very, very, very rare. It is, as I say, rarest of rare situations. Extraordinary situation. The king knew well that Brahmanas, sages, children, women and old men are always beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. This is again the Vedic culture, that a king protects his citizens very nicely, and among the citizens he gives special care and protection to 5 categories of the citizens. Who are they? First is Brahmanas, and that Brahmanas includes the cows also, Brahmanical culture. Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Krishna is described as Go Brahmana Hitayacha. He is always very much concerned about the well-being of Brahmanas and cows. Brahmana here means those who are devotees. Second is sages. Sages are saintly persons, those who are dedicated for spiritual life, sannyasis or rishis or transcendentalists of any kind, yogis, etc. So they are also given special protection by the king. They are dedicated completely for spiritual life. A Brahmana is dedicated for the giving the service in the society to the other classes of people, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. They always depend on the Brahmanas for getting spiritual guidance, for any spiritual duties, for any rituals to be performed, for any spiritual knowledge, etc. The third category of protection, special protection for citizens is the children. The children are small, so they have to be given extra protection. And women Women. Women are naturally the weaker section of the society. The men are stronger. So women require special protection. Generally, they are protected by their husbands or father or grown-up sons. But in case somebody is all alone, then the king must give special protection for such women who don't have a husband, or they're a widow, or they're somehow an orphan, or they are not able to get any protection from any of the elders. Then the king has to give special protection to such women. And old men, very aged, and they don't have a guardian, they don't have grown-up son, or they don't have a guardian who can protect them. So king has to give special protection for such categories of people. And not only he gives protection, but he also understands if they make a mistake, it is pardonable. Because they are in a special category. So they are to be given a concession that they make some small mistake. You just don't apply the law for such categories of personalities. Similarly, the king, even though he commits a great mistake, is never to be considered a wrongdoer. So on one side is Shamika Rishi, who is a saintly person. He should never be punished even if he has made a mistake. First of all, he has not done a mistake. But even if he had done a mistake, he is not punishable by the king. Other side is the king. The king can do no wrong. The king can do no wrong. So even Shamika Rishi should not have become not Shamika Rishi. In this case, the Shamika Rishi's son should not have become angry at the king. Because king, being the protector and the well-wisher of all the citizens, if he makes a minor mistake, that should be excused by everyone else. So king is never considered a wrongdoer. In this case, Maharaj Parikshit became angry and envious at the sage due to his thirst and hunger by the will of the Lord. So here the will of the Lord is arranging this situation, extraordinary situation, for Bhagavatam to be spoken. So the king was right to punish his subject for coldly receiving him or neglecting him, but because the culprit was a sage and a Brahmana, it was unprecedented. Normal person, if he does not receive the king properly, king in order to teach that person a lesson that you should receive people properly, he may give him some punishment. But not in the case of this Brahmana who is sitting in sage, sitting in meditation. As the Lord is never envious of anyone, so also the Lord's devotee is never envious of anyone. So Maharaj Parikshit is a devotee. He can't be envious at the sage. Not out of envy he became angry. The only justification for Maharaj Parikshit's behavior is that it was ordained by the Lord. The Lord arranged this. Parikshit's unusual behavior and the Brahmana's son cursing, that we will hear later what happened after this. The 30th verse, Satu Brahma Risher Amse Gatasum Uragam Rusha Vinirgachan Dhanush Kotya Nidhaya Puramagataha. The meaning of this 30th verse is, while leaving, the king was not received. He was very thirsty. He didn't get water. He became angry. What did he do? While leaving that place, being so insulted, he was feeling insulted, he picked up a lifeless snake, a dead snake. How did he pick up? With his bow. With his bow, because he had come hunting. He was having bow and arrows. Bow in one hand. So that bow, he picked up a dead snake and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage and returned to his palace. This is the 30th verse. So Prabhupada says, that in the purport, the king thus treated the sage tit for tat. You didn't receive me properly, so I also want to teach you a lesson that you are neglecting basic etiquette. So he took one dead snake and put it as if he is garlanding the snake and the sage. No, it's a way of I was insulted, so I also insult you. That tit for tat. Although the king was never accustomed to such silly actions, why should he take so seriously the sage not receiving him under the circumstances? He should not take it seriously. It's silly. It's very silly to think that, oh, I am insulted. I have not been given even water and I am very thirsty. You should not think like that. But the will of the Lord, the king, while going away, found a dead snake in front of him. Again, the dead snake, it's not that it's so common to find dead snakes everywhere. No. So one dead snake was there, happened to be there nearby. And while going away, he thought, King Parikshit thought, the sage who had coldly received him might be coldly rewarded by being offered a garland of a dead snake. Basically, I was insulted, so I also insult him. Take one dead snake which has just happened to be lying there and put it on his shoulder and just go. In the ordinary course of dealing, this was not very unnatural. That means it is expected only. If somebody is not received, they become angry and they react. But in the case of Maharaj Parikshit's dealing with a Brahmana sage, this was certainly unprecedented. This is never such a thing would have happened in an interaction between a devotee king and a sage who is a Brahmana, who is situated in trance, who is very, very advanced yogi, who is absorbed in meditation, cut off from external awareness. It is not expected such a thing would happen. So it so happened by the will of the Lord. This is being stressed throughout by Prabhupada. It is something that Krishna has arranged with a higher plan. So that we have to always understand by the descriptions being given here by Sutta Goswami, and it's going to lead to that. And the details will be further described in the next few verses. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.